Of course, the barrel is secured to the stock by pins, and those pins go through tennons that get dovetailed in the barrel. Now, as you know, I'm reusing this barrel, and I'm not going to be able to use the same tennons, same dovetails for my tennons as I did originally, because I had some really big steel tennons I put in here, but this time I'm using these brass ones you cut off of a strip. And I've used them before. They're fine, they're cheap, they do the job, they're easy to work with. So I'm going to put a new dovetail in right here. And that'll be a good position. So I've just got to measure it and cut it, and I'll show you how we do that. Alright, the way I'm going to fit this is I'm going to measure just the top of the dovetail. So I don't want to measure right at the bottom. Now remember, this has an angle on it. That's how it works. So I'm going to measure just the top with my calipers. And I'm just going to get that set. And then I'm going to transfer that here to the barrel. Okay, so once I have that measurement down, and I transfer it to the barrel, and I'll do that using a steel square, and then I mark it with duct tape. So I'm just a little bit, put it here so you can see it better. I'm just a little bit tight on that, and that's what I want. So that's going to be the width of my cut. Now I've got to get the depth of it. Alright, to get the depth of the cut, again, I'm going to take my calipers, and this time I'm going to run it down right to that edge. So basically I've got to go 5/100ths of an inch down. So I'm going to mark that on there and tape it off, and then we can start cutting. Now, we're all marked off now, and the trick is going to be to hacksaw and file out all the metal between those lines. So I'm going to start right here. Get my boundaries set. Okay. On this side. Okay. So those are my two edges. Now, in order to get the metal out of here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to file a series of parallel cuts all along here that'll leave basically like a bunch of teeth in here that I can easily take off, and then we'll flatten it all out. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Alright, I think you can see now I've sawed these parallel lines. I've just got this little bit of metal between each one. And the way I'm going to take that out is just by sawing on the diagonal. Just a little bit. I'm just going to take each of those little pieces down, basically by sawing it off. It's out of the way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this file, and it has safe edges and it's parallel sided, and this file comes from Brownells, and I'm going to use it to take those nubs down, and it is just about the width that I want to use. Alright, we've got the cut pretty well going rectangularly now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a different chisel. I'll just chalk it a little bit. This is a dovetail chisel from Brownells, and it's a three-sided chisel, but it's different from the ones you'd get in the hardware store. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this, but the sides are parallel, and the ones you get from the hardware store are tapered. Even if you were to grind it safe, it's got this one. This one has two safe sides. So if you can see, there are no teeth there, no teeth there, teeth. So even if you were to go get one at the hardware store and grind it safe on one or two sides, it's still tapered. Now, originally, this is how I built probably a dozen rifles back in the 80s. Was using a hardware store file ground off, but this is just a little bit easier to keep things squared up because you don't have that taper. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this to start cutting the underhangs of the dovetails. So I'm just going to ride it flat along that groove. And right now I'm cutting this side. Alright, we've got a cut. Now I'm just going to tap it into place. Alright. And get it pretty well centered up. That looks good. Now to keep it where I want it, I'm going to center punch the sides of the dovetail. Now I think I want to go just a little more that way. Okay, how's that look? Alright, so and there we go, good and solid. That'll be good for pinning. I'm just gonna file this flush over here, make sure nothing is proud, and then we'll be able to move on to getting it inletted. I hope you're enjoying the series, and if you are, you might want to check out the channel and subscribe, and that way you won't miss any of the future updates.